Call now. It's free.
Call 1-800-989-5137. That's 1-800-989-5137 now.
In Grand Teton National Park, Wyoming, the search is over for 22-year-old Gabby Petito, who went missing while on a van life adventure with her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie. A body recovered by the FBI tonight, the latest in the investigation.
Earlier today, human remains were discovered, consistent with the description of Gabby Petito.
Meanwhile, in Northport, Florida, investigators execute a search warrant for the Laundrie's home. Brian's parents are there, but Brian is nowhere to be found. Tonight, we take a look at the search for Gabby's boyfriend, who has been named a person of interest.
It's unclear if Brian has been named a suspect in Gabby's death, and the whereabouts of Brian are still unknown.
In Brooklyn, New York, R&B superstar R. Kelly accused of running a criminal enterprise to sexually abuse young women and girls. We have the latest from the courthouse.
After 18 days of prosecution witnesses, the defense's case has begun with two witnesses who used to work with Robert Kelly. We'll have the highlights of their testimony, plus by one of those men called his actions the definition of chivalry.
On the docket tonight, the death of Ahmaud Arbery. 3 men charged with his murder. Court TV cameras will be inside the courtroom. We have a preview of this upcoming trial.
I've never seen a prosecutor who failed to bring charges, who helped actively participate in the cover-up of misconduct, indicted criminally themselves.
In Moab, Utah, body cam footage from August 12th of Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. Tonight, we take a closer look at this video with our law enforcement experts. Could anything have been done differently?
You want to tell me about those scratches on your face?
She had her cell phone in her hand. That's why I was pushing her away.
In Fort Myers, Florida, the latest TikTok challenge wreaking havoc in schools as students destroy property. Should law enforcement step in? We take a look during Crime Time. Plus, a big day in Akron, Ohio, with the trial of Stanley Ford wrapping up. Are you convinced it's Stanley Ford setting the fires in the video? Go to our Facebook pages and tell us what you think. I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments. Great to have you with us tonight. We have a lot of breaking news to cover that will transpire during the course of this program, like it does many nights. We are in a verdict watch, first of all, in a case down in Florida. Stanley Ford accused of setting fires, killing 9 people, including 5 children. If a verdict is reached, we'll let you know. You'll see it. You'll hear it right here on your front row seat to justice. In the meantime, let's talk about this young woman, 22-year-old Gabby Petito. There are the pictures she posted on social media. So excited to be taking this cross-country summer road trip with her boyfriend/fiance, Brian Laundrie. And then Brian came home without her. And now we are getting worst-case scenario news. The FBI speaking out about what they found. Take a listen.
As you are aware, FBI personnel, in coordination with our partners at National Park Service, the Forest Service, Teton County Sheriff's Office, and Jackson Police Department, have been conducting an investigative activity in the vicinity of the Spread Creek dispersed camping area. Earlier today, human remains were discovered, consistent with the description of Gabby Petito. Full forensic identification has not been completed to confirm 100% that we found Gabby, but her family has been notified of this discovery. The cause of death has not been determined at this time.
Incredibly sad for the family. And this was a family that they were holding out hope. They were very in front of the cameras, keeping the search alive for Gabby. But this is an absolute crushing blow to the family. Now, our great affiliate WFTS and reporter Wendy Lane has more information for us tonight, and this involves the next phase of what's happening now, which is the investigation. We've got a body, there'll be an autopsy, they'll try to figure out cause and manner of death, In the meantime, they're going through the Laundrie household. Let's take a look again. Wendy Lane from WFTS.
Right before 10 a.m. this morning, FBI agents swarmed Brian Laundrie's home. This less than 24 hours after the remains of Gabby Petito were found in Wyoming. Now, earlier we saw more than a dozen agents rush into the Laundrie home. They took all kinds of equipment with them, and Brian Laundrie's parents were escorted out of the home and put into a dark-colored van. Right now, the whereabouts of Brian is still unknown. Now, on Friday, his parents reported him missing to police. They told police the last time they saw Brian was when he left to go hiking in the Carlton Reserve last Tuesday, and they haven't seen him since. Now, over the weekend, law enforcement searched the 25,000 acres, and they have since called off the search, saying that they have exhausted all avenues of searching that area. Now, right now, FBI agents are still searching inside the home. It's unclear if Brian has been named a suspect in Gabby's death, and the whereabouts of Brian are still unknown, but we will continue to bring you the very latest as it happens. In Northport, I'm Wendy Lane reporting.
Big thanks to WFTS, doing great work down there. The Tampa FBI tweeting out some information today. I want to read that for you so you get an idea of where they are. You saw all the agents swarming the household. The FBI saying they are executing a court-authorized search warrant today at the Laundrie residence in Northport, Florida, relevant to Gabby Petito investigation. No further details can be provided since this is an active and ongoing investigation. So what exactly does it take to get a court-authorized search warrant? What type of information? How much information? And what is it going to take to get to the next level where we're talking about holding someone responsible? And who could be in the crosshairs of criminal charges here? Is it Brian Laundrie? Could the parents as well? Let's try to answer all these questions. Let's bring in our think tank tonight. Great legal minds joining us tonight in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Criminal defense attorney, civil rights attorney, Casey Early. In Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. And in Atlanta, Georgia, criminal defense attorney Michael Bixon. Welcome to you all. Let's start with the search warrant. Casey Early, you're down in Florida. You know what it takes. How much information do investigators, the FBI, have to have in order to get that search warrant and go into that house, get the parents out of the house, and start going through everything?
Well, we know that they have, it has to be specific. In this case, we know that Brian, this is his residence, and that he was closely connected to Gabby. This was his fiance, and he returned without her. So this warrant that was issued or submitted to the court so that the judge can execute it was specific. They're looking for forensic evidence, whether it's his computer or clothing or items within his bedroom that could possibly tie him to Gabby or any association to his fiance.
Jennifer Brandt, not necessarily shocking that all this is happening, but they were able to find Gabby's remains. Tragic ending for that family. But now for this other family, they've got the feds inside their home, in the vehicles, looking for everything. What do you think they're looking for?
I agree with Cassia. I think they're looking for forensic evidence. They're looking at his computer. Maybe they want to try to get hold of his phone. There were some text messages that Gabby's mother had received that she thought were a little odd. So did he send them? Did Gabby send them? They're looking for any evidence that would tie him to Gabby's disappearance. And I believe at one point in time, Gabby lived in the home with him. So maybe there's something there from her that they're looking for. It's just he came back without her. He's the person that probably last saw her. So and now we found possibly her remains, likely her remains. So I think the police are looking for anything that would lead them to a reason for why she's possibly dead.
Now, Michael Bixon, the family has an attorney, right? But the family consists of mom, dad, and Brian. At this point, these parents, he came home September 1st by himself. September 1st, they knew Gabby was nowhere to be found. The parents obviously did nothing other than perhaps help their son get a lawyer and have said nothing, have done nothing. Is there any legal issue that they could be running into here as the parents of the young man who was with Gabby and may very well at some point be looked at as a suspect in this case? Right now, just a person of interest.
Absolutely. I mean, if there's any indication that they know where he is, that they're hiding him, concealing him, that they're, withholding something from this investigation, there's a number of charges, anything from obstruction to aiding and abetting that they could be actually getting charged with. So, when a family hires an attorney, and obviously, there could be some conflicts there, and depending in terms of who this attorney is going to be representing, is it the whole family? Is it one individual? Is it just for Brian? We don't know. But, obviously when a person of interest, and I think they're definitely considering him very interesting at this point, and possibly a suspect is out on the run, possibly, I think that the attorney should at least be focusing on that person, which could make it a little bit more complicated when there's a possibility of the family being charged with something as well.
Casey, what can be done? Can they compel these parents to speak and say everything they know? Let's just say, hypothetically, okay? Hypothetically, it's like a law school exam question. Hypothetically, a young man returns from a trip, right? He goes out with his girlfriend / fiance, comes back by himself, and the parents say, well, where's your girlfriend? And then he tells them everything, and they know everything. Can they be compelled now to divulge everything they know? Hypothetically.
Well, hypothetically, if they're considered suspects in this investigation, of course they can assert their constitutional right to remain silent. However, in this case, we're hoping that they're just witnesses willing to cooperate with the police investigation. Perhaps when their son arrived home, he could have made some incriminating statements, and they will assist the officers in their investigation. However, I doubt that they will do that, considering the first step that they took was to hire a lawyer for Brian. And on top of that, the lawyer issued a statement stating that there's not going to be any further comments at this juncture. And that juncture, I don't know where that is. So in this case, I doubt very seriously that the parents will either participate to protect the interests of their son.
But Vinny, I just want to jump in here because, I mean, how can you blame the parents for hiring a lawyer for their son? I mean, I think anybody who's
I'm not blaming them. I'm not blaming them, Jennifer, but they weren't in Wyoming, right? So they weren't with Gabby. What if they know things? Are they witnesses? Can we compel these witnesses to give information?
But Vinny, what if they don't know anything? It doesn't.
Why did they hire a lawyer if they didn't know anything?
Because their son came back without the girlfriend,
and they said, "Don't tell me anything. Shh, don't tell me anything. We're just going to get you a lawyer."
I think any parent would probably do the same thing. I mean, their son is definitely under suspicion here. How could he not be? He was the person last involved.
What's that conversation like on September 1st? She lived in the house. I mean, Michael Bixon.
That's right, and he comes back without her, right, Vinny? So I mean, and they had an altercation, and we know that there was a fight, and there's some kind of suspicious circumstances. Any parent would get a lawyer involved and say, hey, whatever's going on here, if the police are going to be questioning my son, if anybody's going to be asking him, I want protection for him.
Hey, before you get to that point, I mean, could have dropped her off in New York. She could have. She could have got. No, what I'm saying is, when he walks through the door as a parent, my first thing isn't going to be, no, Gabby, shh, don't say anything. 1-800-THE-LAW. No, you're going to ask where's Gabby.
You don't know if it happened that quickly.
Yeah, and look, Vinny, if you're concerned about the police knocking on your door or wanting to talk to him, as innocent as he might be, and again, it's not whether or not he's innocent, whether or not he's guilty, but if you think the police are going to actually come and investigate him and talk to him, you want to get a lawyer to be that shield and act as that barrier between them to make sure that he's protected, because especially if he is innocent, especially if he didn't do anything wrong, you want to make sure that he is protected. What if he said
something, hypothetically, to his parents, and his parents have information? There's no privilege there. They've got to give it up, right?
I mean,
There's
yeah,
no
it could be
privilege,
obstruction,
however,
but
but it's not likely. I mean, we know in domestic violence situations, they typically look at the person that's closely connected, whether it's the husband or the
Hey,
fiance.
Casey Anthony's
So,
trial, I hate to bring it up, but George and Cindy were on and off that witness stand like 15 times during the trial. These two are witnesses right now, aren't they?
their
Well,
yes,
I don't know.
but
What did
again,
they
though,
witness, though? What did they witness? I mean, they have their son coming back. Maybe he didn't say anything. Maybe he did. But doubtful that he divulged everything that happened. He's gone now. The question is, where is he, and why? What do they know about that? That might be the question that I would be asking. But whether he confessed things to them, I would highly doubt it. But I think they got the lawyer because the police were going to be questioning him, and that would be my assumption.
All right, Michael Bixon, if we get a autopsy results, and the autopsy is supposed to be tomorrow, and those results come back, and it comes back as homicide, death at the hands of another, is that going to be enough for charges in this case, or are they going to need more?
well, it's a question of charges against who, right? I mean, if she was murdered, then the
guy
question is
that
who
she
did
was
it?
in the van with.
Yeah, well, no, because now you're jumping to conclusions. Just because he was in a van with her at a certain point doesn't necessarily mean that he did it.
Drove
For instance,
her van home.
Vinny, if someone hijacks him on the side of the road and kills her, he freaks out and drives home. There's 1,000 different possibilities, but the point of it is we don't know. Now, if there's some evidence that
he didn't tell anybody. He got home on September 1st. Her parents, reported her missing on September 11th.
Okay, Vinny, all right, I'll throw out a possible scenario. What if they were hijacked? What if somebody else did this? What if he was afraid that the fingers are going to get pointed at him like they're being pointed now? And again, we don't know. We're jumping to conclusions. If there is some physical evidence that actually ties him to the murder, then sure, I get it. He goes from being a person of interest to an actual suspect. But again, without knowing what the autopsy results are and without any actual link
I'm saying hypothetically, homicide.
Just that she was murdered?
Homicide, death at the hands of another. That's not going to be enough. We're going to need more than that. How about the circumstances?
So, yeah.
How about the circumstances surrounding this, that there's two people in a van? Two people in the van, one person comes home.
Well, again, there's two people in a van, one person comes home, but we don't know what led for that to happen. If there is some physical evidence that links him to the murder, then yes,
there was a
homicide
in between. Okay, Casey, let me see if I can get you there. Two people in a van drive across the country. One of them is the victim of a homicide. One person drives back across the country. Is that enough? Is that enough for charges? I'm not saying for conviction beyond a reasonable doubt, Michael Bixon. That's a whole different story. I'm talking about charges.
It's more than enough. It's more than enough for charges, especially, again, in this case. And then you throw on top that there was a domestic violence incident a few days prior, and he's gone now. That's evidence of guilt, his flight. Where are you, Mr. Laundrie? Why did you leave? Even if you are a suspect, you have the right to remain silent. You did not cooperate in the missing persons case. And now that we found Gabby, you're gone. You're missing. So just her body alone, the fact that he was with her, the fact that he had the car and returned alone, that's sufficient for charges. May not be sufficient for a conviction, but definitely for an arrest.
All right. We'll continue covering this. We've got more coming up in the next hour on this case. But our think tank's staying with us. When we come back, we'll take you live to Brooklyn, New York. The trial continuing of R&B superstar R. Kelly. The prosecution rested today, and now the defense is putting up witnesses. We'll get a live report next.
Okay.
Welcome back. The prosecution rested today in the case against R&B superstar R. Kelly. Meanwhile, the defense first witness took the stand. I think we've got some images from inside. I say images because it's not video. That's due to the Supreme Court rules set down by your Chief Justice. But there's R. Kelly back in court. And a big day. When the prosecution rests, they've said basically, we've put enough up there to prove it all. Meanwhile, one of the witnesses who took the stand last week interviewed with Good Morning America about her experience working for R. Kelly.
He had like 3 properties, and those properties there was like a certain decorum. You know, I know Robert, the family man, the businessman, but his personal life is Robert's personal life. So my job stops at the threshold of his bedroom door.
That's a lot safer there at the threshold and not going on the other side. Let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Julia Janae, who joins us live from Brooklyn, New York tonight. Let's talk about it. We're in the defense case. How about their first witness? Who'd they put up?
Vinny, their first witness was an aspiring musical rapper who went by the name Deny. He said he used to be the chairman of Undeniable Records. He even came in today armed with his own music that he said that he wanted Kelly to listen to. The defense attorney asked if it could be played in court. Judge Donnelly said absolutely not. But the issue for Deny to get in front of this jury is he told them that he has known Kelly for 15 years. He worked on musical projects with the singer and says that he never saw any verbal abuse or physical abuse, never saw him strike a woman, never saw him deny a woman food or access to a bathroom. Actually, he called it chivalrous, the way the defendant treated women and didn't eat before they were eating, stood when they walked into a room. He says that he stood up for them out of a sign of respect. He also said that there was a time that he flew out to Chicago to meet with the defendant, talk with him about a musical project, and he had to wait for a couple of days before Kelly was able to meet with him in one of the rooms. And here's what the defense attorney asked him, Calvin Scholar. He said, "Why was it that you waited? Why did you not leave after all those days?" And the witness said that he understood that this is how things are. He understood what was going on, how the music business is, and just how busy Kelly was with his music. He also spoke to the rules. He said that there weren't any rules that he saw imposed on the female guests, the accusers who have come in to testify against the defendant. And he said this rule about knocking. We heard some accusers say they had to knock before they entered a room, before they exited a room. He said this was a common courtesy. He had to knock because there was a creative process going on almost at all times. Knocking was common courtesy. It could throw off the entire thing if someone walked in when you are recording. The prosecution on cross-examination, they were able to draw out that he really is still someone who is very loyal to the defendant, wants him to be a part of his music, still has unreleased music that he put together with Kelly.
Okay, so he literally wanted to play his demo in court today for R. Kelly. Is that what I'm taking away from this?
Vinny, I can't believe it either. I was really surprised at even why that came out on direct, because it did make him seem like a really loyal fan rather than an unbiased witness who's just telling what he saw. But he said he had the music, he would like to play it, and Attorney Scholar asked the judge if he had permission to play it, and she said no, that's not going to happen.
So Deny was denied.
Deny was denied, undeniably.
There's a long setup for that. Long setup. All right, stay where you are, Julie Janae. Let's bring back in our think tank. This is, all right, Jennifer Brandt, is this as silly as I think it is? That you call your first witness and he's like, I got to play my demo for Robert.
I think it is pretty silly, Vinny. And it's pretty sad that this is the best that he could come up with. I mean, I think it really shows the weakness in his case that his first witness is somebody who is literally a fan and someone who wants R. Kelly in the position that he's in to hear his music. So it just sounds bad all around. And the one thing that I thought was really interesting is that he did confirm the knocking. I mean, we heard the prosecution witness talk about that quite a bit in the prosecution's case. And he confirmed the knocking. Of course, he offered a different explanation for it, but I think it lets the jury know that that was something that did go on, and they can draw their own conclusions from the testimony they've heard thus far as to why there was the infamous knocking before entering R. Kelly's room.
All right, Casey, what do we do if when the jury's deliberating, the first note they send out is, can we listen to Deny's demo?
Well, obviously, the judge will deny that request because it was not entered into evidence. And oftentimes, the jury will ask for certain pieces of evidence that was a demonstrative aid as opposed to it being entered into evidence. But I'm thinking the same thing. If this is what the defense has, I'm pretty sure that this is just going down. Unless they're saving their strongest witness towards the end. I would suggest, as the defense attorney, that they put on females to counter what the prosecution put up with their Jane Does, that they were in the industry, they were never disrespected by Kelly, they were never harmed physically, sexually. But if they're going to put up Deny as their strongest witness in the beginning, this is going downhill. As a defense attorney, you want to put the strongest witness in the front and in the back. Get that sandwich in. So this is not a good way to start.
All right. Let's bring back in Julia Janae. We'll get to you, Michael. I want you to react to this. So, Julia, who was the second witness? If the first witness was denied, the second witness objection, who was it?
A second witness, a lot more strong when you think about his background and the way it may come across for this jury. As far as credibility, is a security officer for Kelly named Larry Hood. He's someone who worked with him between 1991 to 95, and then again from 2002 to 2004. And in between that time, he joined the Chicago Police Department, served as a police officer until 2007, left the department in good standing. And he says during the time that he was working for Kelly, he did not observe any underage girls performing with Kelly in his studio, never witnessed any abuse, and was never made aware of any wrongdoing as someone who was there in this enforcement type of position. On cross-examination, though, prosecutors asked him about his background with the defendant, and he did say that he was a childhood friend, someone who had known him growing up. He said that he was also with Kelly when he first met Aaliyah when she was 12 or 13 years old, when they were with her parents and they first invited her to come on the road and produce with Kelly. He said he didn't know anything about the marriage and learned about it about a year later. He agrees that he didn't check IDs at the studio, so may not have known for sure the age of the female guests around, but overall refuting what we've heard from those other former employees who have taken the stand talking about who was around Kelly and what may have transpired as far as what accusers say happened when they were alone with him.
Michael Bixon, I think this is a little bit better, a police officer, but again,
Absolutely.
a childhood friend.
I mean, don't get me wrong, not perfect, but, you know, by leaps and bounds, way better than what they brought out for the first witness. I mean, you're supposed to start as strong as possible, end as strong as possible, and that wasn't a very strong opening. You know, if they started with Mr. Hood, and I think, again, he's not a perfect witness. There is definitely some issues there with, you know, him being a childhood friend and things like that, but still much, much better overall, I think.
All right. Our think tank's going to stay with us. I think Michael Bixon's going to play his demo for us when we come back. Let's check back in with Julia Janae. Julia, what can we expect tomorrow?
Tomorrow we may hear from a defense investigator on the stand, and we're talking about the order of these witnesses. They may not have as much control over that because they have said that they've had difficulty with the travel, getting their witnesses here to New York. Prosecutors have complained to the court that they haven't been given notice about who's going to testify, but we'll likely hear from that investigator and then some more former employees of the defendant.
Julia Janae in Brooklyn, New York. Thanks so much, Julia. Still ahead.
On the docket tonight, the death of Ahmaud Arbery. 3 men charged with his murder. Court TV cameras will be inside the courtroom. We have a preview of this upcoming trial.
I've never seen a prosecutor who failed to bring charges, who helped actively participate in the cover-up of misconduct, indicted criminally themselves.
Plus a big day in Akron, Ohio with the trial of Stanley Ford wrapping up. Are you convinced it's Stanley Ford setting the fires in the video? Go to our Facebook pages and tell us what you think.
On the docket tonight, the shooting death of Ahmaud Arbery. Ted Rollins has the story.
In the first few seconds of the Ahmaud Arbery shooting video, it's clear that Roddy Bryan, the person recording, is also driving. 5 seconds in, we see Ahmaud for the first time. He appears to be running at a consistent pace. At 9 seconds, we get the first look at the truck stopped in the road. The driver's side door is open. The man standing outside is Travis McMichael. He is armed with a shotgun. Standing in the back of the truck is Travis's father, Greg. He's armed with a handgun. Two things to notice here as the camera starts to move erratically. Watch Ahmaud as he appears to realize what's in front of him. He decides to go around the truck on the right-hand side to avoid Travis. Now, watch it again and think about Roddy Bryan, who is shooting the video. He keeps driving towards the evolving situation, and then listen. That sound raises the question, is Bryan cocking a handgun from inside the car? Bryan maintains he was unarmed. As we break down the next sequence frame by frame, we see Ahmaud on the passenger side of the McMichaels pickup. In the next frame, we can only see Greg McMichael, who appears to be holding a phone in his ear with his left hand. We know his right hand is holding a pistol. Now we see that Travis McMichael has moved from the driver's side to the front of the truck with his shotgun, presumably to confront Ahmaud. His right leg shows his knees are bent, his head is looking forward. In the next frame, we see Travis has now stepped back, and this is when we hear the first gunshot. The next frame clearly shows that Travis is being pushed back and Ahmaud has his hands on the rifle. Watch as Ahmaud releases his hands and hits Travis, first with his left hand, then with his right, as the struggle moves out of frame. Greg, meanwhile, now in the back of the pickup, puts his phone down and appears to ready his pistol. Then another shot. And we see smoke coming from the struggle. At 27 seconds into the video, Travis and Ahmaud can be seen again struggling over the rifle. Watch right here. Ahmaud pulls his right hand off to try to hit Travis. This gives way to the final shot. The final frame of the 36-second video shows father and son each holding a firearm standing in the street with Ahmaud Arbery laying on the ground dying.
Still difficult to watch that video and try to understand what is going on down there. Let's bring back in our think tank. And here's the issue. We know this is going to be a self-defense defense. McMichael's going to say that as Ahmaud Arbery's rounding the front of the truck, he comes after him and goes for his gun, and there's a struggle and the gun goes off. What role, if any, will the mindset of these three men play in all of this? Because I don't see any level of consciousness of guilt from these three. I mean, you've got Greg McMichael's on the phone with talking to police, right? So they're talking to police. You've got they cooperate with police when they come. Roddy Bryan says, "Hey, come here! I got a video. You got to see it." I mean, these three guys, at the moment all this is happening, don't think they've done anything wrong. But here's my question. Does that play a role at all in the trial and in what the jury has to consider here? Casey?
I mean, they'll play a role for the defense, obviously, but this entire case is a recipe for disaster when you mix vigilante neighborhood cops with unethical prosecutors. We know that these three men claim that they were trying to prevent a crime or capture the suspect, but they're not trained nor experienced. And then we know that there was a delay in the charges and or the arrest due to the prosecutor that was initially assigned to this case. So that is a weak defense. I know that they tried to bring in his criminal background, and they didn't have that in their mind when they were running after Mr. Arbery. So that definitely could be a defense, but it's a weak one.
Michael Bixon, what role do you think it will play, if any? The fact that they cooperate, the fact that they call police, the fact that they hand over the video. No one knows this video even exists. Roddy Bryan's the only guy in the world who knows that he shot a video of this, of what happened to Ahmaud. And as soon as police come, he says, "Hey, look, I got a video of the whole thing. I'll show it to you." I mean, these guys literally don't think they've done anything wrong.
It might play a role in the trial, but as far as the self-defense issue, it really doesn't. If the mindset dealt more with they knew Ahmaud, they had prior interactions, they knew about his standing in the community or something like that.
Well, I'll tell you what they're going to say there. I can tell you what they're going to say there, Michael, is they're going to say, "Hey, we had a series of break-ins in our in our neighborhood.
Yeah,
And just the other
that
night.
doesn't mean that it was him. And again,
Wait.
wait.
You're talking about what's in their mind. And they said, by the way, I don't know if it's the night before or a week before, whatever it was, the last time they had one of these break-ins, they all showed up, and Travis said he saw the guy who was breaking in, go into his pants, and he thought he was grabbing a weapon. So that's what they're going to say was on their mind. Is that relevant?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that they're absolutely going to bring it up. I don't think that it's going to play a huge role. And again, there's two components, right? One component is the self-defense aspect, and the other that's going to happen before trial, and the other is the actual trial. And I'm talking about specifically prior to the trial, okay? But as far as, their minds with that, no, I don't think it's going to play a huge role. For the trial itself, yes, it will play a role in it.
Jennifer Brandt, what do you think the jury does when they hear from these guys? And even if they don't testify, you got everything on the body cam. They're telling their whole story. Saying exactly what they believed happened. And they are there with not an ounce of guilt for what has just happened. And the other thing that is striking, not an ounce of concern for the body that's on the ground behind them. And I could see the jury wondering about that as well. But you listen to them talk, they talk like they've just taken down a really big criminal, and they had no choice, but they had to take him out.
Regardless of what was in their mind, I think the problem that they have is that they came armed and ready to shoot this guy. And I don't think any jury would say that was the right decision in any respect. I mean, this guy, if he was a burglar in the neighborhood, is what they're alleging. I mean, why do you come with your rifles? Call the police if you see him. Have the police come out and deal with the situation. But they're taking matters into their own hands. It's like some kind of vigilante justice. They're going to go out there and knock down this guy. And if you look at the video, I think the video certainly does not help their case in any stretch. Ahmaud is running around the other side of the car. He's not going after them. He's not attacking them. And then you see the struggle. And he gets shot, and then they all just stand around. Nobody does anything. So they have no remorse, and they have no business doing what they're doing in this neighborhood. Whether they had good intentions or thought they were preventing crime in the neighborhood, you don't go out and shoot somebody. So I think I don't see how the jury can see it any other way.
All right, folks, this trial is literally just around the corner. Take a look. Trial date is October 18th, okay? Now, there's a federal case also. You've got something happening in November, something happening next March. But the date in the middle is one you want to look at. That's the one where they're facing life in prison. October 18th. Court TV cameras inside the courtroom. So get ready for that. In the meantime, you see the jury clock is ticking. When we come back, we're going to talk about what's happening in Akron, Ohio. Stanley Ford, the jury out for more than 3.5 hours now. I posted on social media, are you convinced that the guy in the video is Stanley Ford, the one accused of setting these horrific fires, taking the lives of 9 people? Your verdict when we return.
The key question in this case is whether you believe beyond a reasonable doubt that this man, Stanley Ford, is the individual in those videos starting those fires at 719 volts and 693 volts, and that car fire at 723 volts. As Detective Looney testified to, in that second fire, the key is who was the man running down the street, and it was the defendant, in this case, Stanley Ford. And the key phrase in that statement, are you convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that it was him?
The jury out, getting close to 4 hours now in the case against Stanley Ford, accused of setting 2 fires, killing 9 people, which included 5 children. Court TV crime and justice reporter Joy Lim Nakarin is in Akron, Ohio, and has more for us tonight.
The jury has begun deliberating the fate of Stanley Ford after both sides delivered their closing arguments today. Now, in the fourth week of trial, Summit County Prosecutor Joseph D'Angelo summarized testimony from 39 witnesses, arguing they have a mountain of circumstantial evidence showing Stanley Ford killed 9 of his neighbors in a string of arsons from 2016 to 2017, including surveillance video and Ford's own statements.
The key question in this case is whether you believe beyond a reasonable doubt that this man, Stanley Ford, is the individual in those videos starting those fires at 719 volts and 693 volts, and that car fire at 723 volts. As Detective Looney testified to, in that second fire, the key is who was the man running down the street, and it was the defendant, in this case, Stanley Ford. And the key phrase in that statement, are you convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that it was him?
Earlier in the day, the defense addressed the aggravated murder counts and aggravated arson counts surrounding both house fires, arguing unsuccessfully that there is insufficient evidence as to identify the perpetrator to allow the case to go back to the jury.
That verdict, folks, in this case, as hard as it can be, because we want someone to be held accountable for what happened in that neighborhood over a 13-month period of time. I get that, but that verdict, folks, is not guilty. We talked about the difference between not guilty and innocent. As I sit here today, I can't tell you what happened. I wasn't there. Neither were you folks. Neither were the police. It's not guilty. They haven't met that high verdict. And I quote, I don't think Stanley could do this to that family. And that quote, folks, came not from our witness, from theirs.
When they're not deliberating, the jury is sequestered in a hotel where TVs, telephones, and radios are disabled in their rooms. Jurors cannot bring cell phones or laptops to the hotel. Their phone calls will be monitored. Books and magazines must be reviewed and approved, and no consumption of alcohol is allowed. If Ford is convicted, the penalty phase will begin Monday, September 27th. Vinny, back to you.
Okay, the clock's still ticking, thanks to Joy. Tough to be sequestered these days, right? With all the electronics, you got to stay on top of everything. Anyway, posted this on social media today. We begin with our 13th juror. Comment of the day from Lisa, who says, I'm not convinced Stanley Ford set the fires that killed his neighbors. Some of the witnesses aren't even sure it's him. Then there's the ex-husband who pleaded the fifth. And let's not forget the streets talk. Other suspects needed to be investigated before sending a man to the death penalty. Casey, do you think the jury understands that the death penalty part of this is separate than the guilt phase of this? I mean, I hear these comments all the time. People say, well, it's not enough for the death. Well, the death penalty is a separate consideration.
Well, I hope they do understand and that they render the verdict, and then it's up to the judge to make that the separate phase. And I don't like accountability verdicts. I hope that the defense attorney made it clear, and I heard it in his closing argument, that don't give a verdict or find Mr. Ford guilty simply because you want to hold someone accountable. Hold the prosecutor accountable as to whether or not they met their verdict. And I agree with the that post that I'm not convinced either. We know that there was the ex-husband that pled the fifth, and there's other people out there that could have possibly set these fires. So I'm hoping that the defense brought it home on this one.
T, tonight, yes, I do. Look at the body structure and the evidence. So T is convinced, Jennifer Brandt, based upon, and they did this little side-by-side with the video and the defendant walking. How much time do you think they're going to spend studying those videos versus the rest of the evidence in the case?
I think they're going to be looking very, very closely at those videos, because whoever's on those videos, it's a good chance that that was the person that set the fires. And I do think the jury will be looking at Stanley Ford and saying, does he meet the body type? Could it have been him? And I agree. I mean, you do want to hold someone accountable here for all these deaths. So unfortunately for Mr. Ford, you know, if he does fit that body type, and if he could be him on the video, I think he could be in trouble here.
All right, Michael, tonight, there's too many other possibilities that have to be totally dissected before sending one off on the last one-way trip. The state hasn't threaded this one together. Like I always say, if given a choice, I'd rather let a guilty man free than send an innocent man to prison. Michael Bixon, it's not just Michael who says that. I mean, that's the way our system's built.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I totally agree with what he's saying. You know, I wish that more jurors would really understand this concept. I think that we'd have a lot less guilty verdicts where there really shouldn't be. I don't think that the state has really proved beyond a reasonable doubt that he has actually committed these crimes. I'm very curious as to what the jurors are going to come back with. When you ever see a very emotional case like this, you are always concerned that they are going to go and just want to place the blame on someone, even if it's the wrong someone. So that is obviously a very big concern of mine.
Michael Bixon, Jennifer Brandt, KC Early, thank you so much. Appreciate your time and your insight. We'll see you again real soon. All right, folks, the clock will keep ticking, and we're going to also take a look at the investigation into the death of Gabby Petito.
In Grand Teton National Park, Wyoming, the search is over for 22-year-old Gabby Petito, who went missing while on a van life adventure with her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie. A body recovered by the FBI tonight, the latest in the investigation.
Earlier today, human remains were discovered, consistent with the description of Gabby Petito.
Meanwhile, in Northport, Florida, investigators execute a search warrant for the Laundrie's home. Brian's parents are there, but Brian is nowhere to be found. Tonight, we take a look at the search for Gabby's boyfriend, who has been named a person of interest.
It's unclear if Brian has been named a suspect in Gabby's death, and the whereabouts of Brian